Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of our national anthem.
Baseball fans, you're listening to Babes Babes.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome in to episode 2 of Babes Babes. So excited to be back with my babes. Mads, Jonna, how's it going?
It is going. I am so excited to be here for the kickoff of spring training.
It's officially spring. It's still freezing here in Chicago, but we'll take it. Today, we've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about as we anticipate the season ahead. We're going to give a little bit of insight into some of the best baseball traditions, just some of the things that you're going to notoriously see at every game that you go to, but then also a little bit more specific, some team traditions, things that you might see if you're at a specific stadium or watching a specific team play. And we're going to round it out with a little preview of the World Baseball Classic, and we'll chat about that a little bit. But first, we're just going to catch up with each other. Jonna, what's going on?
So I actually am really intrigued to hear from Madison on her weekend at the Pinstripe Pride Hall of Fame signing event.
Okay, that was probably one of my favorite weekends in a very long time. I got to interview so many great figures in baseball. I interviewed Oswaldo Cabrera for a while, became friends with him, I guess. I interviewed John Sterling, Susan Waldman, the radio voices of New York Yankees, Michael Kay, David Cohn, and then I also just got to meet a bunch of them. I didn't get the chance to interview them, but it was just still cool talking to them for like a few seconds. So Andy Pettit was one of them, Don Mattingly. They're amazing. AirPods are like falling out. But yeah, it was just such a cool event. It was hosted by Hall of Fame Signings. They did an amazing job. It was a signing event, but I got to go behind the scenes and interview them with a media pass, which was like a really cool experience for me because I've interviewed players and I've interviewed people before, but it was just like a different atmosphere. And I also interviewed fans, which was cool. So it was like, I really got a taste of like everything. And also doing it in person is something I haven't done yet. So that was pretty cool.
So if you're not already following at Major League Mad on Twitter, you need to go and do so. She has been posting some of these awesome videos from her interviews. And she even made it on the MLB network. So
I did.
Our little pedestrian.
Yeah.
We know who she really is. Remember us when, Madison.
I will. Yeah, that was really cool too, being on MLB Network. Some guy that follows me on Twitter, he was like, "You're on MLB Network," and I'm like, "Huh?" And then I like looked a few hours later when they did the rerun, and I was like, "No way." So
it's so
cool.
crazy when you don't even know, and like your followers on Twitter pointed out to you.
Yeah, it was really cool. I was like so confused. He like caught me off guard, and I was like, "Whoa."
Yeah, you were like, "Wait, really? Are you sure?"
He was like, "Me?"
Yeah, that clip
You're
that
not
they
a
played
pedestrian
was so
to
cool.
us.
Definitely not.
Thank you. Yeah,
You're a host through and through.
Yeah, that was a weird way to describe me, I guess.
Well, the clip that they used was so not pedestrian. It was a really cool take and conversation that you were having with
Yeah.
him, and such a unique experience that you created by the question that you asked. So it was very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Madison asked John Sterling to give her a home run call, which was just amazing. Wouldn't you love to go around and just ask other announcers how they would respond to that question on the spot?
Yes. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect when I asked him. I was like, ooh, because I was planning on asking him that. And then I was asking my father and my friend, who has met him before. I was like, do you think he'll be able to come up with one? Like, I was like, is this something people always ask him? And I don't think it is, like, surprisingly enough. So I was like, really shocked when he came up with that on the spot, because I did put him on the spot there.
Yeah, that was impressive.
It was.
Yeah, but he was really engaged with his conversation with you, which is just the sign of good work of someone who, is connecting and making you feel comfortable, but also getting a fun response and some good content there.
Well, thank you.
Well, Madison, since you're so good at this, why don't you ask us a question? Put us on the spot.
Okay.
Get us going with our around the horn here.
Okay, so for the Around the Horn segment, my question for you girls is, who is the best baseball player you have met ever? Assuming you've met one.
I haven't met a ton of players, so this doesn't, I guess, what I would consider met, like, had a conversation with, I guess.
Like an interaction. Yeah, that counts too.
I would say the most positive one, like the one that sticks with me, I want to say I was like 12 or 13 years old, but I met Cardinals closer Jason Isringhausen at a Cardinals caravan in Peoria, Illinois, which is central Illinois, near where I grew up. And yeah, he was just so kind and talkative. And I recall him like actually conversing with me as opposed to, just like nodding and smiling. And I loved him and had just watched him, in some really big closing situations for the last couple years. So yeah, Jason Isringhausen.
That's so nice.
That's
gotta be mine. What about you, Jonna?
I would say Nick Swisher, who I met at the 2021 MLB All-Star week. I met him at the draft. And I think I mentioned it in the first episode that we got a selfie together. So I need to dig that up for you all.
Yeah, we need that.
Yeah. He was such a vibe, and he was exactly in person who who we all saw as the vibrant, like, life of the party player. He was the same way in person. So that was fun. But I would say my other one, who didn't turn out to be an outstanding player, but it was still really cool. So the day that Aaron Judge had his MLB debut and he hit a home run in his first at bat, Tyler Austin, that was his debut that day as well, and he also hit a home run on his first at bat. And so that night, or I guess it was like early in the evening, I was walking around in Times Square, and we popped over into the NBC building and we saw Tyler Austin in there.
No way.
So he was walking around with his girlfriend at the time. I think they got married. But I kind of hollered over at him, and he turned around like he was shocked that somebody knew who he was. He was like, oh my God, like, this is his first game.
Big day for me, getting recognized too. That's awesome.
I was a little bit starstruck, so I didn't get a selfie, but that was really cool.
That's really cool. That was my favorite game ever.
You probably made his day. That's awesome.
I know, you could totally tell he was almost even more starstruck that like somebody knew who he was.
Like, as a performer, I'm just thinking, like, the few times where people have been like, oh, I saw you in something, I'm like, yes, you did. Yeah. And then I immediately text everyone I know and tell them how I got recognized.
Right?
So yeah, I'm sure you made the family text thread that night.
Probably.
I would hope so.
Mads, you've met probably more than us. So
yeah,
what's your answer?
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Gosh, I have, well, it's like weird because I don't remember if I said this on the first episode or not, but my family is like well, I'm good friends with Mariano Rivera's son. So I've met Mo a couple of times. But it's like weird because that wasn't like me going to meet Mariano Rivera, the Yankee.
Yeah.
It was me going to meet Mariano Rivera, my friend's dad. So it's like different. So honestly, I would say Oswaldo, meeting him was just amazing. He was just so friendly, so sweet, humble. Uh, I like sat with him for a really long time. We just talked about like random things. He literally was just like a friend to me and the other people I was with. So that was like really cool.
That's amazing.
You hit the nail on the head, Jono, when you said like Nick Swisher was exactly like how you would expect him to be. So when anyone that you meet that like you see from TV or whatever is the way that like you have created them in your mind, that's the best.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when they just treat you like you're just one of them, like you're on their level,
Yeah.
it just makes you love them even more.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
has to be a weird thing and a weird skill to be able to have to like deal with those kinds of situations. Cause I'm sure some people might act really weird towards them or like don't know how to act, So it could be really weird, but yeah, when they are just can be themselves and like have a authentic interaction with you, it's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, you ready to get into some baseball traditions today?
Yes.
Yeah.
Donna, why don't you kick us off? What is a baseball tradition that you can think of?
So I want to point out the ceremonial first pitch, which has been going on for over 100 years now. The first ever ceremonial first pitch was thrown by President Taft, and it was during a Washington Senators game, who are now the Washington Nationals. And so oftentimes the president will throw out the very first pitch at the Nationals game, the first game of the year, on opening day. And ever since then, we've had celebrities, we've had athletes from other sports industries. So yeah, it's just really fun. I don't know if I'm trying to think who I've seen. Actually, I know. Hideki Matsui.
Oh, cool.
First pitch. Yeah. I can't remember where that was or when that was. It was during this last postseason. Or no. I don't know.
I want to say
it was this last year that I saw it.
I want to say I've only seen like former players that have done it, I think in person. My fun story with ceremonial first pitches is that I was in a Broadway and Chicago show here for a while, and it was also on tour. And the tour cast was in St. Louis. And the show that I was in, there's only one female in the show. And so the woman who was playing the role on tour when they were in St. Louis got to throw out the first pitch at a Cardinals game. And I was like here in Chicago, like, oh,
yeah, you're like, are you?
She didn't care at all.
That should
like
be me.
Exactly. She had no clue. Like she thought it was so weird and like it was just like an awkward experience. And I was like, I am dying.
And you're like, I'm dying for this
Wow.
experience. Like you like literally have been living for this experience.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. So even though I was really glad to be in like a sit down production and not be touring around the country, I would have traded spots with her in a heartbeat that day. Thank you. Mads, have you seen any exciting ones that you can think of?
I have. I've seen so many, but off the top of my head, the ones that there's like one that I loved. It was Kayvon Thibodeau on the New York Giants. He was a rookie last season, so when he got drafted, I guess it was like 2 months, maybe a month later, I was there up close, got a nice video of him doing it. That was cool. And then I've seen like a lot of former Yankees, like Mark Teixeira. Who else? Like everyone. I don't know. Bernie Williams, Reggie Jackson. I feel like I've seen
Andy
so many
Pettit.
of them. Like It's really cool. I feel like I have seen Hideki also. And I forgot to mention, he was one of the people I got to meet last week.
Oh, how
He was
cool.
Oh,
there.
sweet.
Yeah. Just for like 2 seconds, but still
He's
counts.
another one that I feel like is so humble.
Very, yeah. He was really sweet. He was in a rush, but still very, very nice.
Matt, do you
Yeah.
have a baseball tradition that comes to mind?
A baseball tradition that comes to mind for me is bringing your glove to the game. So that's something that's been going on for a long time, I guess since baseball first started. So fans, usually children, lately we've been seeing a lot of adults do it too.
Gee, why?
Yeah, especially when
Trying to
Judge
make
hit
a few million.
62nd. Yeah. People do it just to get balls to have for memories or to sell, have signed. It depends on who hits it, I guess, what the result is, if it's a foul ball or a home run. And if there's a milestone, then they'll usually give it back, get something in return. So I feel like fans are very motivated nowadays to bring their gloves to games. And then little kids, like they just do it because it's
It's
fun.
so
Like you're a little
cute.
kid. It
Yeah.
is.
And it's a way to keep them engaged in the game too, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's a
Mhm.
really good point. Yeah, I think if I was
Yeah.
taking a little one to the game, I'd be like, grab your glove.
Right?
Gotta keep
Yeah.
an eye out.
Eye on the ball.
Have
Yeah.
y'all ever brought a glove to a game?
When I
Done it?
was, yeah, maybe in like middle school and early years, I guess.
Have you
Not
guys ever
lately.
caught one? A foul ball or a home run?
We're gonna talk about
I
that later. That's one of mine.
Okay.
Don't
Ooh.
get too far ahead.
My bad.
Well,
Actually, let's just talk about that one now. So
Yeah.
another baseball tradition is like when you catch a game ball, what do you do with it? I mean, just like Mads was talking about, it depends on what kind of game ball it is. You might sell it for a few $1 million. You might give it back to the player if it is, you know, a milestone for them. And that was cool to see with both Albert Pujols and Aaron Judge throughout their, you know, milestone chase this past season
Mhm.
of just how kind and giving they were to the fans throughout all that. But it was madness.
And they had to
As we all
mark the
witnessed.
balls. Like they had special
Yeah.
balls.
So that they could be sure. Because
Mhm.
I mean, it's that second of like, I can't even imagine catching a ball like that. First of all, I'd be scared for my life because
Yeah.
I'm going to get like football tackled. And then, yeah, you could easily switch it out. So that's interesting. But I have not caught a ball at a game, but my husband did. And I didn't see it, but I heard it was pretty impressive. And a bunch of people around us told me that it was very impressive. He had gone to get some food. We were at American Family Field in Milwaukee, watching the Brewers play the Cardinals. And he had gone to get some food. And he's walking back down the stairs with like his cheeseburger and fries in his hand. And I think he had his beer like in the box, you know, with his food. And a foul ball comes over. And he catches it in one hand without like dropping. And the
Wow.
people next to him were like, you didn't even lose a fry.
Oh my
That's amazing.
And he like didn't miss a beat. Yeah. And he came back down. He just had this huge smile on his face and he was so proud. So that's my one and only game ball. Of course, he gave it to me. So, but have you guys heard of I guess this is kind of a tradition too, of like writing? Do you write it on the ball of like who, you know, the ball was pitched from, who hit it, who fielded it? I have not written it on the ball yet, but I have it on a note like in my phone because I'm like,
Okay.
should I write on the ball? Is that
Yeah.
what you do?
I once got a batting practice ball. I didn't catch it, but the security guard liked me and he like gave it to me. I was like younger and he like
That's the
probably thought it
safest
was
way to
like
get a game
funny.
ball.
It really is. So he handed it to me and it was just hit by like Ronald Torreyes. And like Andy Pettit actually was the one pitching batting practice that day. So it was like Andy Pettit touched this. But I don't know if most people would do this, but I had it signed later on, like a year later, just by like Luis Soho and I think CC Sabathia. So
Oh, cool.
it's kind of random, like having players who had nothing to do with that, like sign it. But I was like, what else am I gonna do with it? So
Yeah.
I don't
Fair
know.
enough. Yeah. So I actually
Yeah.
have two balls. Ricky Henderson. Well, it's not my ball, but like my family, I guess I should say. So my brother got a ball from Ricky Henderson when he was 5 or 6. And so my mom wrote on it. And then I also got a ball from the Yankees. Like I just kind of, when I was like 4, I snuck down by the dugout and they just tossed me a ball, like the security guy too. So my mom just wrote on it like what game it was and the date. I
That's
don't know. Do
cool.
people still do that?
I
I
don't
feel like I
know. I
would.
guess to Matt's point, like, what else are you going to do with it? So, yeah, I mean, it's a cool like way to make it that piece of memorabilia, right? To write like when and where it came from.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's like an interesting topic. I feel like people would have like a lot of people would probably have different answers for that.
Yeah, let us know, listeners. What do you do with your game balls? Do you
Yeah.
get them signed? Do you only get them signed by the player who touched them or hit them or what? This kind of combines the last two traditions that we were talking about, but I've never brought a glove to a game. I never played baseball. I never had a glove, but I tried to bring a baseball into a game once because I was going to be sitting pretty close to the dugout and I wanted to see if I could get it signed. And I had it just like in my little fanny pack that I was taking into Wrigley Field. And they didn't let me bring it in because they said they only let children bring balls into the stadium.
You're kidding.
Really?
I am not kidding.
That's so weird.
So security cracking down here in Chicago. Just be ready for it.
Like, what if
That's
you were
really
trying to get the ball signed for your like niece or nephew or like
I know.
child?
I should have been like, it's for a child.
Yeah, that's
Also,
odd.
I'm 12.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
how
know.
can you prove that, Oh, that's that's so weird because I bring balls in all the time just in case I'm gonna get the opportunity to get an autograph. And I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not a full grown adult, but I'm also not a child. So I feel like, I mean, I'm like above the age of whatever a child would be
I
considered,
think it definitely depends on the stadium because
probably.
going from different stadiums, even last season, like it can be a very different experience getting into the stadium from one place to another. So
Yeah.
different parts of the world these days, I guess that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that's true.
Mads, what other traditions do you have on your list?
I have rain delay antics, which honestly, that's like, I don't know if people would even consider that a tradition, but I would, and I think you guys would too.
Oh, for sure.
It's so like you just have to be there to experience it. Like telling someone about it, they're like, okay, it was raining, you stood in the rain. No, like you have to experience it for yourself. And I took a lot of videos and like put together an amazing like montage or whatever you want to call it. So I guess I'll like briefly go into like my experience. So I have two. Well, not two. I've been to a lot of rain delay games, but these two were amazing. So last season, I came home. I think I also mentioned this on the first episode. I came home from college to see Judge hit number 62. It's like bus home, and I went to the entire series against Boston. It was 4 games, went every single day, all 4 games. And so the fourth game against Boston, there was a rain delay, like I think it was like the fifth inning or something like that, like mid game. And no one left because everyone wanted to see Judge hit 62. So no one was leaving that stadium until they said the game is canceled. So we were there for like a few hours. Bleachers were so much fun. We went into like there's like this deck above the bleachers. And we just all stood there. It was a monsoon. Like it was insane. It wasn't just rain, lightning, thunder, wind. Like it was fun though. Like that made it better. We were all soaking wet from head to toe. Everyone was dancing. I guess people got drunk. Everyone was ordering ice cream because no one had anything else to do. So everywhere you looked, everyone was eating the helmet ice cream. Uh, and Yankee Stadium did a great job, like with their music. Like they had a whole DJ, so good music, karaoke sessions. It was just like such an amazing experience. One of my favorite games of the season, even though they barely played that game. Like, just
Do
the
you remember
It just
experience.
how
becomes a
pissed
party.
people
It
were
literally
so
was.
pissed that like they didn't get they're like, they should be paying for our food. They should be like paying our food bills
What?
because they waited so long to finally call the game.
Yeah.
Well,
They
But do
did
you
wait a
remember
very
that
long
guy that
time.
was going viral for like he had like ketchup and
The
mustard
ketchup.
all over?
Yeah.
I
I
like
was like
all
on the
over.
other
He was like,
side.
yeah, he had his shirt off and he just like had it all
Hmm.
over.
Yeah,
Um,
because there was a guy next to me who like dove into the like took his shirt off, dove into the water. And then everyone was texting me, "Do you see the ketchup guy?" And I'm like, "No, I'm on the opposite side of the stadium." And then I saw the video.
and I was like, I don't know, I'm not claiming him. Like he a Yankee fan.
Yeah, I don't know what he was, but it's funny. It was just very messy, and I feel bad for the people who had to clean that up, but I don't know. It was just look, it was a fun time. And then there was another one. I'll talk about it really quickly. I feel like I'm talking too much about rain delays. So there was one, it was ALCS game five. Why do I keep saying ALCS? ALDS game five. I went with my brother, also came home from school for that. Rain delay for like 3, 4 hours. I forget how long. It was pretty annoying that they didn't tell us till like hours later that they weren't going to play the game because this was like a pre-game delay, so they didn't play at all.
oh, I remember
Um,
this one.
Mhm.
yeah,
Watching it or trying to watch
it
it.
was, yeah, I was, because I thought I was planning on going back to school the following day. So I was like, what do I do now? I have an exam. So my parents, once they finally said the game was not being played, they called my school testing center. They were like, they told them like our daughter has an exam, but she can't make it. I thought they were gonna send me back to school to take my test, and they were like, no, you're gonna stay and go to the game tomorrow. So, and they won, and it was a crazy
It was
experience also.
amazing.
Yeah. So I love rain delays.
Yeah, that was, I think that, God, that first rain delay of the ALDS, I feel like cursed us, and then we like we got it back
Yeah.
in game 5.
Hmm. Yeah, I forgot about that one too.
I remember one of the games that we went to as a family in St. Louis when I was growing up. There was a super long rain delay like that, but it was like the one game that we were going to that year. And I was probably a little bit younger, like 9 or 10. I wasn't super into baseball yet. And I was the oldest of my 3 siblings. So we would always stay at the Marriott downtown St. Louis. And we get super excited to go swimming at the hotel, because as a kid, that's like the fun thing to do.
Yeah.
And we did not want to stay there and wait for the rain delay. Like we were so bored, like 10 minutes in, and we were like, can we just go back to the hotel and go swimming? And my dad was like, no, like we are staying here. I really want to see this game. And like I paid for all of us to come in and get tickets. And so
Yeah.
we all left. My mom took us back to the hotel to go swimming. My dad stayed there for like 3 or 4 hours until they called the game. But now I'm like, I remember that because now I would be there right next to him. Like, no way am I leaving,
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
When you're little, you don't understand.
Yeah, just don't have the patience for it. Don't have the
Mhm.
appreciation. Can't drink beer to have fun. So,
True. What other
Rain
traditions do we
delays.
have? Yeah.
Donna, what's
Speaking
another
of rain delays-
tradition that you
sorry,
think of?
I will move on to the next tradition. But before that, I want to say, like, how long before everyone has a retractable roof?
That is a really
Yeah.
good point. I mean, it's very expensive, but I would assume that all stadiums that are built from here on out would have them.
Yeah.
You
Just
would
because of the
think.
logistics around it is a nightmare, especially in postseason.
Hmm.
And now with all the
Definitely.
teams playing each other, I would think it would be even more complicated for rain out games.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. That's a
Yeah.
good point.
Well, I will move us on to our next tradition, which is no mentioning a no. Shh. Keep your mouths shut. So, Red Barber, who used to be he used to be an announcer for the Yankees. I feel like he's the first one who really cursed the no. So Bill Bevins was pitching at the time, and he was just 1 out away from a no-no, and Red Barber like announced it, and yeah, he gave it up. So and so yeah, and so now announcers, I feel like they'll kind of allude to it, but they don't actually say it. So they might just say something like something big is brewing.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're on Twitter, like everyone talks about it. They're like, no, and if you have like the MLB app, you get a notification like
Yeah.
there's a no watch over at whatever game, and so like to go watch the game. But yeah, that's the superstition that you're not supposed to curse your team or jinx your team.
I didn't realize that it started with like a specific instance. That's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
What's your stance on it? Like, are you like very superstitious, or are you kind of like, it's fine?
I wish I wasn't. I feel like it's silly, but I totally buy into it.
Same.
Me too.
I mean, I anticipated that answer, us all being like diehard baseball fans.
It also like makes me so incredibly anxious though. And I cannot imagine. I mean, there's so many scenarios with players where I'm like, I don't know how they keep their composure. And it's obviously like so mentally impressive, forget the physical abilities that it takes. But yeah, Miles Michaelis of the Cardinals was 1 out away from a no-hitter this past season. And I was like, my whole body was sweating. I was like freaking out. I was about to have a heart attack. I probably like lost a couple years of my life that day. I don't know how he got through it, but it's crazy.
Yeah. It's
crazy
insane.
pressure.
It is a lot. Like, and you just like think, and they always lose it like in the 9th inning, or like they're so close, and
they're
it's
that
like,
close.
Oh my gosh.
But they put the no-hitter thing, like you said, on the TV. So they like don't say it. They just put it on, around like the score at the bottom. I feel like by the 6th inning, if not before, like if they have it going.
Yeah.
So what are your stances on combined no-hitters?
I don't like them. I think if there's going to be a no-hitter, like it should be one pitcher. Like it's so easy. Not easy. I shouldn't say it's easy. Like I can't do it. But I think it's easier for the team if it's a combined no-hitter, because you're asking a relief pitcher to literally go and get 3 outs and another relief pitcher, or however many. It's like, I don't know. It's more impressive, in my opinion, for a pitcher to start the game and pitch a complete game no-hitter.
And I also feel like it's easier to, like, in some ways, I feel like it's easier to give it up though, because like the relief pitchers just aren't in that mentality, or like that like adrenaline rush.
Yeah, that's true.
That the original, like, or the starter would be on. And that always just like makes me so upset for them when somebody comes in and like gives it up.
Yeah. Or when a position player like bobbles a ball or like ruins it, like a freak thing. It's sad.
Yeah.
I kind of feel bad.
Very upsetting.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting, sure, like when there's a combined no-hitter, but like a real no-hitter is one pitcher who pitches the entire game. But that's a really good point, Jana, about like when a pitcher has a no-hitter, they are clearly in the zone. You know, there's something special that they've got locked in for that game against that team. And it could be risky to move on to somebody else who isn't in that headspace, doesn't feel the importance of it, and is maybe not in the zone.
Yeah.
I want to mention on that note of being in the zone, it's also superstition that other players will not talk to the pitcher. When they're up to bat, and so when the pitcher's like in the dugout, they just kind of avoid them and let them like just really get into their mental game.
Yeah.
That has to be kind of weird though too. I think I'd be like, somebody talk to me, please. I'm thinking about
this. I know, like,
but
you just want normalcy, like just take a little bit of the pressure off. I don't
Depending
know.
on the starting pitcher though, it might be common that regardless of the circumstances of the game, that they don't talk to them like when they're on the bench between innings. So
I can see Garrett Cole being like that. Can't you,
Very
Mads?
cool.
Like he
Yeah,
seems he's always
he's the one I
reviewing
was
stuff on the iPad.
Yeah. Well,
I was
especially with
just
all the resources they have now.
yeah, I was just thinking about him when he like wolfed down the banana in the dugout. That
Listen,
just came
we
to
need
my
to do a
mind.
whole episode on that. Let's do some research because I need to eat like every 2 to 3 hours and I'm not playing baseball. So I think it's so
Yeah.
funny when they like shoot to somebody and like tease them for having a snack. And I'm like, I would have had 12 snacks by now. Like we're going into hour 3 of this game.
Mhm.
So,
And like what the snacks of choice are. I want to like dig into that too.
yeah.
I also just want to know how he did that. I don't know. Do you remember the video, John Kelsey? I don't probably didn't see it because I feel like it's a Yankees Twitter, but maybe it was entire MLB Twitter. It was him eating a banana, but he was like in 1 second, and it went viral because it was so like weird. I'll have to
Yeah.
show you guys after. It's so funny.
People
Yeah, and
get
the Nestor's
excited about the
apple
weirdest
was
things.
like a big thing too. So I don't know
Yeah.
about Cardinals fans or other fan bases, but the Yankees just like love that shit. They love like they will just, if you're like Nestor Cortez and you just down an apple, then you're probably gonna have a Nestor's Apple Twitter account like right after the game or before the game's even over.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Adam Wainwright is the only player that I have seen eat during a game, and he's been seen eating like an Uncrustable.
Nice.
And one time when he was not playing, like a game he was not pitching in, he was eating like chips or something out of his hoodie, and that was pretty funny.
Oh.
Lovely.
All right, we're going to come back to that one someday because that's a fun topic in itself.
Yeah,
Speaking
it
of a good time to get snacks, our next tradition is the 7th inning stretch, which is, of course, when we sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." I love to sing, so I always love this part of the game.
is.
And I found a little history about that old tune, "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." Turns out that a lyricist named Jack Norworth and a composer Albert von Tisler wrote "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" way back in 1908. Norworth was inspired to write the song while he was riding the subway, and he spotted an advertisement for an upcoming baseball game. The tune did not actually make its game debut until 1934, but we actually found out that there is a first verse to this song, and it all kind of made sense because I was reading that the song was inspired by this woman, Trixie Friganzia, who was an actress and a suffragist in the early 1900s. She inspired this song because Norworth was dating her at the time. So there's actually lyrics to a first verse. I'm going to read them real quick just because it's so interesting. But it is about a woman in typically a man's space, and this powerful woman that he was with at the time was making waves and paving the way for females in all different kinds of ways. And she inspired this song. So kind of a fun fact. But the first verse lyrics to "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" are: "Katie Casey was baseball mad, had the fever and had it bad, just to root for the hometown crew. Every Sioux, Katie Blue. On a Saturday, her young beau called to see her young beau, I bet, called to see if she'd like to go to see a show, but Miss Kate said no. I'll tell you what you can do. You can take me out to the ball game." So yeah, she's like, I don't want to go see a show. Take me to the ballpark, which is, I think, what all of us would say too. So that was really fun to learn about. Do you guys love singing that song? Is that always like a favorite moment for you when you're at the ballpark?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love that song. I also love YMCA.
That's a good one. Crowd pleaser.
Mhm.
Gets you pumped.
What I always tell my husband is, don't buy me flowers, take me out to the ball game. Like, don't take me to
I
the
love
movie,
that.
don't take me anywhere, just take me to the ball game. But do you guys always sing, like, no matter where you are, even if you're not at like your team watching your team, like if you're watching two other teams, do you always sing root for the like Yankees or the Cardinals? Do you always put your team in there? Because I do.
Yeah, I do.
When I'm watching them, if I was at, like, I've gone to like some White Sox games where the Cardinals are not playing, and I probably just say home team. I don't know though. Do you guys wear?
You gotta change that.
Do you wear
girlfriend.
Yankees gear if you go to a game
Oh,
that's not
yeah.
a Yankees game? Okay.
Yeah.
I really was unsure about that. I was grappling with that. So now I know.
So you don't do it? You were like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, because I just didn't want to be like obnoxious, but
Yeah. No, I get that.
I think it's better to wear like baseball gear than to not, though. So I had a White Sox shirt, so I wore that instead.
So it might not be so common at like stadiums that are like the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Cubs where they just have like such a huge following. But I mean, I lived in Denver for 10 years, and so at the Rockies games, there would be fans from every fan base, like at every game, because I mean, the Rockies just don't have that huge of a following or like a rich tradition or rich history. So, I always felt
true, and
doing it there.
At that point that I was at the White Sox game, they were definitely like not in the running for the postseason. It was like towards the end of the season, and they had clearly been eliminated, not technically, but like they weren't gonna make it to postseason play. So I think it would have been okay for me to rep my team.
Totally. So I actually, since I would go to like Rockies games all the time, I ordered an old DJ LeMahieu Rockies jersey.
Oh,
so
cool.
I could like both rep my one of my favorite Yankees players and the Rockies.
I dig that. That's cool. A win-win.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things when I think of the Take Me Out to the Ball Game song as well, before we move on to our next one, is when I go to games with my friend Wes, who I go to a lot of games with because he's my other Cardinals fan here in Chicago. He films it every time we do it. He'll like get the selfie mode and film us singing Take Me Out to the Ball Game. And
I love it.
Someday I hope he presents me with like a virtual scrapbook of all of the videos of us singing Take Me Out to the Ball Game together, because there's got to be like 100 of them by now.
Yes.
I love that. I did that with my grandfathers when during YMCA. So it was Old Timers Day. Sorry, this is like a quick story. It was Old Timers Day, and my father, brother, and two grandfathers went with us to the game, and we took a video of them like doing YMCA together, and it was so cute and funny, and like I watch it all the time. I'll like show you guys at another time. But
that's so sweet.
That is so cute. Making memories.
What other seventh inning stretch like traditions are there? Like, are the Yankees the only team that does God Bless America?
They do it every game?
Yeah.
Oh.
I guess
yeah,
so.
maybe. I feel like some teams do it sometimes for like special games, but not every game.
Yeah, every single game.
I do a really good rendition of God Bless America, by the way. I sing it like Ethel Merman, so if you ever need me for that, I'm here.
We absolutely need that.
The Yankees need you for that because they changed it. It used to be, who did it used to be? Or was that the national anthem? No, not the national anthem. It was God Bless America. It was, I'm young, so I don't know the names. Wait, I need to look this up now.
But they used to have like the same person that always did it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then there was like controversy. It was like a controversial thing.
Huh.
Yankees God. I know it was a woman, and then they changed it to a man.
Mm-hmm.
It was Kate Smith, and now it's someone.
Kate Smith is she's got some Ethel Merman vibes.
Yeah, I don't know who doesn't know, but whatever. I like it. You just know as soon as the sixth inning, or no, as soon as the top of the seventh is over, you're gonna hear, "Ladies and gentlemen, please move your caps."
Yeah.
I don't know.
What do the Cardinals do?
They sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and most of the time it's just with the organ. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else. Obviously, Harry Carey used to do it for the Cubs, so they'll still do that. Let's get some runs at the end of
celebrities
Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
They?
Yeah, they do. I don't know if they get celebrities for every game, but for many of them.
Yeah, I'm gonna be touching on that soon too.
It's awesome.
It's funny.
We got a couple more. Jonna, do you have another one?
Yes. So when a team hits a walk-off to end the game, the team always celebrates them at home plate, which is so fun, also potentially dangerous. But I just love that. Like, I don't know, that always gets me so pumped up.
It is really fun to watch.
Yeah, it is.
And then usually like they, lift the player up off the ground and there's some, I don't know, like Gatorade or water dumping involved or bubble gum.
Yeah.
I've seen
It's
like them
really-
throw the bags of sunflower seeds now.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But yeah, I have definitely heard of injuries resulting from that too. And oh man, I think that's got to be, first of all, really embarrassing for the player when that happens, but two, like so frustrating for the
Mhm.
team. Oh,
Yeah, Aaron Judge once a helmet went into his mouth and chips his tooth.
Mm-hmm.
You just never know, man.
Yeah, freak things.
I know. It is always something like so freakish like that
Yeah.
when it happens.
Well, at least he can play baseball with a chipped tooth.
He's
Mhm.
proven
I'm sure
that.
they got him into the dentist.
Yeah, that same night.
Mads, do you have one more?
I do. I have the curtain call, which basically there's not much to say about it, but I mean, I think everyone by now knows the curtain call is when a player does something maybe like monumental or just has a great game, like something valuable, something that doesn't happen every day for that player, whether it be like a walk-off grand slam or no, that wouldn't be a curtain call actually. That's after the game. Something during the game, like Aaron Judge hit his 60-second home run. Like he comes out of the dugout and the fans, it's basically he takes a bow and the fans he gets a standing ovation and takes his hat off and spins around. That's all it is. It's a fun little thing, a nice moment for the players and the fans.
Yeah, I think it's really for the fans because some of the players don't like to do it at all. You can tell, but it's fun when the team encourages them to do it.
Yeah, they'll be like shy, like they don't want to take up all the attention.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys feel about like a curtain call happening at an away game? Like there were some times because when Albert Pujols was on his run the second half of this past season, that there were so many Cardinals fans at like a PNC Park, for example, in Pittsburgh towards the end of the season, was probably more Cardinals fans than Pirates fans. And they were like really trying to get him to come up and give a curtain call. And he just would never do it at an away stadium, which I can certainly have a lot of respect for. But I'm like, and you're Albert Pujols and you just hit like your 701st home run. Like,
yeah,
it's also kind of okay.
Yeah, it's okay to accept the love. I don't know. I feel like it depends on what it is, but
yeah,
both that and Aaron Judge's 60-second home run like warrant a curtain call.
That's
yeah.
true.
Yeah, and his was away too, so I think he did one, right?
I think so.
Yeah. I literally watch it every night before I go to bed, like a weirdo. And I don't even know if he did one or not. Like
I feel like did he just do it like at his mom and
yeah, I feel like he didn't do a big one. He did a bigger one when he was a rookie for his 52nd. Was it 52nd?
Oh, so when he actually broke the record, it was at an away game?
Yes.
Yeah, it was in Texas.
Yeah, against the Rangers.
That's right. Oh,
Yeah.
so yeah. I mean, that's cool though. You can still come out and give like a tip of the hat, especially to the people that are there specifically for that moment. So that's cool.
Yeah.
That reminds me. So the Texas Rangers played New York, Frank Sinatra for him that night, like after the game. Like
That's
that is
just
so nice.
such a like. So I wrote an article about that and for the Jersey Sporting News, and I just wrote like our hats to you, Tex, because that was really, really classy of them to do that.
Yeah, that is very classy. I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those moments that are like bigger than a team, but
Yeah.
acknowledging that is very cool. The
Right.
Dodgers also did some really cool stuff when Albert Pujols hit, because he hit 699 and 700. And
That
he used to
was
play,
so
he played for the
cool.
Dodgers. So
Yes.
the season
Yeah.
before. So
Yeah,
that was
they
all
like
very cool.
really honored him well, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was only with them, for a short time, but they took a chance on him when he was released from the Angels. And, he gives a lot of credit to them for keeping him in the game and really bringing his love of just playing the game back. So
Yeah.
curtain calls all around in those cases, in those very special cases, no matter where you are, I think.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure.
Well, we're already talking a lot about our teams, and we'll get a few others in here as well. But Madison, you want to kick us off with our team traditions? Tell us some of the best team traditions that the Yankees have.
Sure. Okay, so the Yankees have, I don't know, some of them are very controversial again. So there's the no facial hair, which is not loved by many anymore. Players can't have long hair that I think they can't have long hair that goes past their shoulders
Yeah, I think it's
or even
mhm.
shorter. Maybe it's their ears.
Yeah, I feel like it's
Actually
their
getting a little.
ears. Poor
Yeah, I've
Harrison
never seen
Bader.
it. Yeah. Yeah, not shoulders actually. I don't know why I said that. And then beards, of course, they can't have. I like it. I know a lot of people don't like it. I don't know. It would be weird if they didn't have it. I mean, it's been around for so long. It's like a classy thing.
What do you think,
And
So
Jenna? I
then
can
happy
tell
to,
you have
I am
thoughts.
so happy to hear you say that because that's how I feel too, just because it's been
really,
such a long standing and because the Yankees still hold traditions that are so unique to them that I love it because it's something that they've held on to for so long. So
yeah. Like if you don't want to cut your hair off, then you're not gonna play for the Yankees. Like
yeah.
it's really it shouldn't be that deep. It should like people could say that I guess on both sides, like, but I don't know. I think if a player has a problem with that, then that's I don't know, just not worth having a
I can't
problem.
imagine
with.
that most of them do. Like,
I
again,
don't
I guess I'm
think
thinking
so.
as like an actor, I've had to cut my hair off, color it for shows, and I've had
Mhm.
situations where people have acted like I was going to have a heart attack because they needed to cut my hair off, and I'm like, it's my job, it's part of my
Yeah, like
job.
it'll grow
So
back. Yeah.
yeah, I can't
Um,
imagine it's that big of a deal. It doesn't bother me as not a Yankees fan.
yeah.
It's funny to me when players come to the Yankees and like we've never seen them without facial hair or
Yeah.
like with short hair.
Mhm.
Like when Johnny Damon came to the Yankees, it was like, whoa, like because
Yeah.
you didn't even recognize him without all that facial hair.
Do you guys think Matt
Yeah.
Carpenter is going to grow his beard back now that he's with the Padres?
I
I
I
can see it.
mean, yeah,
He
like
looks so good with that mustache.
I
Hmm.
love the
It's like
mustache. I
iconic
know.
now. He
Yeah.
might
Him
just
and
keep rocking it.
Nestor. Hmm.
Yeah.
The Mustache Bros. I think someone else, I think who was it? Carlos Rodon has a mustache,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I
Hmm.
saw that this morning. We got another mustache bro. He replaced Carpenter, I guess.
Yeah.
It's him and Nestor. But moving on to another Yankees tradition, no names on the jerseys. That's been around
Mm.
forever. I love that. I don't think they need names. It's not about a specific player, it's about a team. So I just like that
I
tradition.
like the meaning behind it for sure. I
Hmm.
think that's cool.
Yeah. Um, then they have New York, New York, which they play after every game, which I am not a big fan of. Okay, I love when they play it. I tweeted about it last week. I was like, I miss walking out of the stadium hearing New York, New York play on the loudspeakers. Love it. But I feel like after losses,
Mm.
maybe it shouldn't be played. I don't know. But it's
Mm.
just, I'm so used to it
So they
now.
play it no matter what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they play it no matter what.
Oh, yeah, that is kind of weird.
Hmm.
I feel the
I mean,
same way. I hate when they play it when we lose because it's like,
yeah, it's sad. It's like I don't like I love the song and you're ruining it for me because you just got blown out. Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
they
I
don't
don't
play
know.
Go Cubs Go when they lose.
Yeah, like
God.
other teams don't do that. Um, well, moving on to another one. I have a few more. I'll go kind of faster. Old Timers Day is a day where old players come and they're recognized. Nice, beautiful ceremony. I've gone a lot in the recent years. It's so amazing. And I was lucky enough to see players like Whitey Ford and Dr. Bobby Brown, Don Larson before they passed away. So it's like super cool to have experienced that, especially I think I was in middle school when I first started going. So it's like a middle school girl getting to see these historic players before they obviously were taken from us. It's just a memory I'll hold forever. And it's like really special to me and other fans, obviously.
Yeah, that's another unique to unique to the Yankees tradition, which I think is a shame.
Yeah. And also like the way they play like the game, I guess the younger old timers like Mariano Rivera, those guys. I like the game they play. I don't know why they didn't do it last year because it's like fun.
I know.
So maybe they'll bring it back this year. Now it's later. It's in September. It's usually June. But I don't know. What else do we have? Okay, we have roll call, Bleacher Creatures. There's so many. I feel like I'm reading like 25 different things right now. Roll call quickly is before first top of the first inning of every game, fans in the bleachers who are called Bleacher Creatures because they're crazy and I love it. They announce each player one by one. They'll like yell their names until the player turns around and responds. They'll just chant their name.
That's fun.
It is fun. I
didn't know
it.
about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fun. Monument Park, I guess that's considered a tradition. It's their little like I guess you call it museum. I don't know what you would call it. They have all the plaques and retired jerseys, and fans could like walk there and tour it before the games. And then pinstripes, that's the last one I put down. Pinstripes are just iconic for the Yankees. So
classic.
Yeah, that was a mouthful. That was a lot of things. So
well, the Yankees are tradition, like so rich in tradition. That's like one of the first words that I think of when I think of the Yankees is tradition, you know?
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they would have a lot worth mentioning.
Oh,
I'm going to touch on the Cardinals real quick before Jonna takes us into some other teams. The biggest thing that I think of people think about when they think about Cardinals traditions is the Anheuser-Busch Clydesdales on opening day. And the Cardinals and the Clydesdales became linked in 1953, which was when Anheuser-Busch purchased the team. But it was like 2 decades later that they became an opening day tradition. So in the 70s, the Cardinals wanted to make their home opener like more of a spectacle. And that's totally what it is now. It is really more of an experience than just a game. The whole downtown area is just red as far as the eye can see. Here Comes the King is played repeatedly on the organ. And of course, the Clydesdales lead the parade each year by pulling their iconic beer wagon, which is followed by cars that are carrying like current Cardinals Hall of Famers. And the right field gates, I thought this was really interesting. The right field gates at Busch 2 and Busch 3, so the most recent stadiums for the Cardinals, were actually specifically modified to allow the Clydesdales to reach the warning track for this annual lap that they make. So they even made some adjustments to the stadium.
That's so cool.
For those Clydesdales.
I want to see that in person.
I actually got to see the Clydesdales where they are like bred and raised, some of them anyway, at Grant's Farm, which I think is about 100 miles or so outside of the city of St. Louis. But you can go and see them and brush them, and it's a really cool thing to do, especially with kids. So I got to do that a couple times growing up and see them in person.
That's so cool.
You're so cute. I love that.
All right, Jonna, what team do you have for us that's not the Yankees or the Cardinals?
I have a few, but I'm going to start with the Reds, since they are the oldest team. They were the first team in Major League Baseball. And I talked to a fan earlier today who was giving me kind of the rundown of his favorite traditions. Cool. Yeah. And so every year they have an opening day parade. And so they have like 100, I think they had 125,000 fans last year. So over 100,000 fans just storm the city. It's basically like a city holiday. And they have like kind of old players come as the grand marshal of the parade every year, which is really, really cool. And so they call that the Fendley Market Parade. And then so they'll be doing that this year, of course, March 30th. And another tradition of theirs is that they always open the season at home. So their home, or like their opening day for them, is always at home, since they were the first team in Major League Baseball.
Wow.
That's a neat way to honor them, to honor
Yeah, I
that.
think so too.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And then they also have a museum there, since they have such a rich history. And so it's the Reds Hall of Fame Museum, which I'm told is highly recommended. And coincidentally, they're opening a Women in Baseball exhibit here at the end of February.
No way.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
they'll be highlighting just different women in the industry and kind of the things that they've had to overcome to get into it. So you can catch the babes at the will be highlighted at the Reds Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we'll have to do a feature on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. So I recommend checking out the website. There's a lot of really cool information on there.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then they have their iconic smokestacks that are out in the right center field. And so they launch like flames and fireworks out of there to just respond to different team celebrations, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and then what I didn't know about those is that there are 7 bats on both smokestack, so 14 total bats to honor Pete Rose.
Oh, wow.
Oh, good old Pete Rose. Love
Yes.
it.
Yes.
That's so cool.
Nice.
I know.
We're
like,
learning all kinds of
I
things.
need to
I
learn more
know.
about the Reds. Like, I just, since they have such a rich history, and yeah, that's a team I really need to go watch.
Have either of you been to Great American?
Mm-mm.
No.
It's been on my list forever. I need to get there. It's just far enough away that got to make time for it.
I
Yeah.
know.
We should all go.
Yeah, then we can go to the museum together.
Yeah.
I have a
that'd be-
friend that's a Reds fan and lives in Cincinnati, and she's like, you should come, like you can stay anytime. And so there we go.
Okay, so let's do it.
Road trip.
Yes.
Mads, what other
Okay, yeah.
teams do you want to tell us about?
I have the Red Sox. So they have
Switching gears
a-
entirely from the Yankees.
Yeah, moving over to the rivals, we have the Boston Red Sox, who have a pole in right field they call it Pesky's pole. And I guess fans every game just know to go over and sign it. If you're sitting there, you just sign it, do graffiti on it.
Oh.
When I went there, I did not even see it. I guess maybe I just didn't look at it. So next time I go there, I'll have to check that out. Touching the green monster for good luck is a tradition. So I don't know what else to say about that one. That's just kind of like a known thing. There's not much to it, but it's for good luck. Sweet Caroline during the 8th inning.
Oh, yeah.
One of the most famous traditions. Dirty Water, the song Dirty Water, is played after every victory. So that's kind of like, that kind of contradicts what the Yankees do, because they play New York, New York after every game. The Red Sox just play this after every victory, which I actually like better. Yeah, and then one more thing for them. They have Marathon Mondays. Marathon Mondays. Marathon on Monday. I guess it's once a year. Where they call it Patriots Day, and it's the Boston Marathon on that day, but also an 11 a.m. Red Sox game. So it's like a huge day in Boston. Yeah. So I guess they always do an 11 a.m. game, which is something I'd love to experience.
Yeah.
Even as a Yankees fan. It's pretty
Brunch
cool.
and baseball on a Monday.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Sounds fun.
I'm going to stick with
Um,
another East Coast team while we're at it and just mention a couple of the more recent, I guess, traditional things that you would see from the Phillies since they made a big postseason run this past year. The ring the bell tradition kind of started for them this year as a celebration. It was purchased by their DH, Bryce Harper, and inspired obviously by the light up Liberty Bell that glows for a home run at Citizens Bank Park. And players ring the bell of their own in the dugout after a home run. So that's been fun to watch. And then, not sure if you guys caught on to this past season, but the Dancing on My Own song that they would play after
oh yeah.
every victory actually started, tying it back to the Red Sox. It started from the Red Sox backup catcher, Kevin Plawecki, who chose it as his walk-up song during the Red Sox 2020 season. So he said he started it as a tradition in an effort to annoy one of his teammates, Mitch Moreland at the time, but eventually it took on a mind of its own, and it inspired Boston throughout a season of empty stadiums and throughout their 2021 playoff run. So they played it all the time, and Kyle Schwarber was like, no bad mojo here. Don't care that we came up short in Boston. I'm going to bring it over from Boston to Philadelphia. So there's a fun tie-in from the Red Sox and the Phillies there. I love that song, but I was always really confused.
Yeah,
by
like where that came from.
all right.
It's like
It's a
going
vibe,
to Penn
so.
State. Yeah, going to Penn State, like it's all mostly Philly fans. So it got annoying after a while because
Mm.
I don't like Philly because I don't have anything against the Phillies, but I don't like the Eagles. So just I don't know, Philly and New York just don't get along. So
Right.
it was really annoying because that's you would just hear that song every single day during the World Series. Although I was rooting for the Phillies.
Same.
But
We won't get into that.
yeah.
Donna, what other teams on your list?
The Dodgers, they have a mariachi band.
No way.
Yes.
Oh, that's
So
so
it's
fun.
become like it's a kind of a recent tradition. They started doing it like, well, I shouldn't say that. They've had them like come throughout the years, every season, but it's like become like an every Tuesday thing. So they have a mariachi band come and they wear like blue hats, royal blue hats. And yeah, because they have such a huge like Latino
Yeah.
fan base and like, Southern America, like Mexico, a lot of fans come over from there. And so Central America, yeah, I think it's a really cool way to honor their fan base.
Yeah, that's really
And it just
cool.
kind
Yeah.
of gets everybody going. So like I read that their marketing team just tried it out as kind of an experiment and like the fan base just went crazy. So they have just held on to that as a tradition.
I'm thinking about like the times where I have seen the mariachi band the most is like on the subway in New York City, and how much happier I would be to like experience it at the ballpark as opposed to in a subway car. I'm like, that's the place.
I
for
know
the
Yeah.
it's a
mariachi
really
band.
good vibe for the baseball field.
Yeah.
I have to agree. They also have an all-you-can-eat pavilion in their right field. Yeah, which is wild. They have like it's like $35 and you get an unlimited amount of Dodger dogs, which are, famous. Nachos, peanuts, popcorn, and pop. Like
That's not bad.
crazy.
Well,
I know. It's shocking that like of all places LA would have that.
Yeah.
It would be that like affordable. So yeah, take
Interesting.
your family, feed them at
Mhm.
Dodger Stadium. And
Sign me up.
then let's see. Yeah, sorry. I thought I had something to add to that, but not really. Oh, they also have a lot of celebrities that go to Dodgers
Ooh,
games,
yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
being right in LA. And so oftentimes celebrities will do like autograph signings too on top of all the players. So
Mhm.
Jason Bateman is one of my like favorite diehard Dodgers fans. He's obsessed.
is he really?
I like him.
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel like I see like Ashton Kutcher there a lot too, and like Mila Kunis.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's got to be a fun environment to go to as a celebrity. Like they can put you in your own little spot in a suite. It's like chill enough, but yeah, I'd go.
I know.
Yeah. It
How
looks
cool
really
would it be to
pretty.
just be like sitting next to like a movie star?
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like the Yankees get a lot too, but
They
not
I'm
not
do.
sure.
as many as LA.
One of the biggest differences
Yeah.
between like New York and LA, in my opinion, is that like New York, you can be standing in line at Starbucks next to someone incredibly famous and no one even notices, or no one makes a big deal of it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And like like it's just very of the people in New York.
Yeah.
And in LA, they're more like designated spots for celebrities.
Hmm.
For sure.
That's just my take
Yes.
on it.
I
Yeah.
agree.
So yeah, all the famous people in New York are like right there next to you. Keep an eye out.
Yeah.
Mads, are you gonna tell us about one more?
Sure. So I have the Cubs as my last one. So after every victory, they hoist a white flag at Wrigley.
The ugliest flag I've ever
And
seen. Just saying.
what else? Go Cubs Go. That's their little theme song.
You'll never see me
Uh,
walking out of a baseball park faster than when Go Cubs Go is playing.
Go Cubs
I
Go.
have to tell you, Kelsey, I have a little version of my own for that song, but I think it's not appropriate for on air.
Okay, you can sing it to me post recording.
I want to hear it too. I like Go Cubs Go, obviously. I know you
It's catchy.
don't.
My husband will like start accidentally singing it. Like
Yeah,
it's stuck in
that's
my
like me.
head.
It gets
Not in this
stuck in your
house.
head so bad, but the
Oh
bad
yeah.
version gets stuck in my head.
There you go.
That's funny. So Harry Carey, the broadcaster for the Cubs, he came up with "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," well, not the song, but the tradition of singing the song during the seventh inning stretch, which I believe is something that just took. I know the Cubs stuck with it after he passed away and used it as their tradition, but I want to say that's what inspired all the other teams to do that, but I'm not so sure. So I might need to be fact checked on that.
That sounds right.
But yeah, I
Makes sense to
think
me.
so. Yeah. I mean, if you started it for the Cubs, then I'm assuming that's where all the other teams got it. But yeah, that was started in 1982, and that's just obviously a league-wide amazing tradition. And they usually have a celebrity singing that, so that's pretty cool. And then they have this isn't really a tradition, it's something I just added. The ivy walls they have around the outfield. I think it's pretty neat. I want to go to
It's
Wrigley and
iconic for
see.
sure.
Yeah, it is a very
Yeah.
cool spot.
Hmm.
It's also just
Yeah.
unique because it's in the middle of like it's most of the ballparks I feel like are like right off the highway or something or like their own in their own little area. It's like right in the middle of a neighborhood. And it's very cool. The whole area
Yeah. Yeah, it looks
is
really
really neat.
cool. I need to go. What else do we have? Do we have any others?
I have a tradition that is from the Brewers. And this is one that I always look forward to when I get up to American Family Field in Milwaukee. It started as a fun way to entertain kids at the game, but since the early 1990s, you can see bratwurst, Polish and Italian sausage, along with the later added hot dog and chorizo, like the giant sausages racing around the bases at Miller Park and now American Family Field. So they have the sausage races in between innings at the Brewers games, and
That's so
it's
funny.
fun, it's silly, but it's something that's become iconic there that you're always going to see when you go to a Brewers
That's
game.
really funny.
Yeah.
You got
I
one more
love
for us,
that.
Jonna?
I do. So the Rockies, I did not know about this tradition. They started a tradition of, and I don't know when or like who started it, but when they play the Cubs in Chicago, so when they're in Wrigleyville, they get there early and they make the rookies walk to a Dunkin' Donuts and buy the whole team like donuts and coffee and fully dressed in uniform. So they're just like walking down the streets of Chicago, like going into Dunkin' Donuts and buying donuts and coffee for everybody.
I love
I
that.
have seen that. And I just want to say, Rockies players, if you're listening, I have a few recommendations that are better than Dunkin' Donuts in Wrigleyville for your coffee. So hit me up, Westtown Bakery, Dollop. Like there's some really good, neighborhood spots there. Every time I see them walking with the Dunkin', I'm like, oh, come on, man.
You can do better. You can do better.
Yeah, it is
Although
really
no New
close.
Yorker would agree
So-
with like of course New Yorkers are like Dunkin'. It's the best.
Yeah.
America does run on Dunkin'. It's true. And it's really close. It's like right outside, right across the street.
So this last year, Charlie Blackmon paid for it all, and he also paid for all of the people who came in behind the team and like had to wait in line.
Aw,
Which is very cool.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
that's excellent.
Yeah. Okay. Are we
Good
gonna move
stuff.
on?
Well, we made it to Ruth's rundown.
We did.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the World Baseball Classic, which as a baseball fan, I'm sure you have heard is coming up. But Mads, what is the World Baseball Classic? Because it hasn't been around for too terribly long.
Yeah, it hasn't. So it's been around since 2006. I think it actually, no, I'm not going to say what I was going to say because I don't know if it's true. It's an international baseball tournament where players from around Major League Baseball play in it, but also just professional baseball players from different leagues. So it's basically just professional baseball players playing in a tournament around the world. It's 20 teams in total, so I guess 20 countries, I think. And each roster has 30 players. So it's cool to see everyone come together and form teams and represent their countries.
Yeah, lots of 20 different countries playing in the World Baseball Classic and tons of Major League Baseball players. Jonna, you were saying that there's a few countries that specifically have a number of familiar names on their teams.
Yes. So every team has 30 players on their roster, and several players from Major League Baseball. So the Dominican has a lot of representation. They've got Julio Rodriguez, Juan Soto, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Rafael Devers, Manny Machado, Wander Franco, Gary Sanchez, and Jeremy Pena. So they've got like a huge representation. Obviously the US is all Major League Baseball players. Mexico has a big representation as well. They've got Gallegos from the Cardinals. They've got Patrick Sandoval, Julio Urias. Who else? Alejandro Kirk from the Blue Jays. Randy Arozarena, Alex Verdugo. They also have a lot of representation, like fun managers this year. So Mike Piazza is managing the who's he managing this year? Italy, obviously.
Oh yeah. Yadier Molina is managing Puerto Rico.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then let's see. Oh, Ken Griffey Jr. is helping out with the US team, which is cool. And I think, like,
Yeah.
Andy Pettit is a pitcher coach as well. He's gonna do.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
I didn't know that.
Do you know how many games they play? Is it kind of like bracket style? Like depends on if
yeah.
you win?
Yeah, it is bracket style. I couldn't tell you how many games, but I can tell you they play in 4 different locations. So they'll play in Miami, Phoenix, Taiwan, and Tokyo.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I'm thinking like it's different than the All-Star game where you would see, different players, but like some of the top players from different teams come together in that they're going to play potentially more than one game. So that could be interesting to see how they play more as like a team and it's a little bit more, strategy behind it than just one game.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Will
gonna
be
really
fun to watch. Yeah. I
I'm so
think
excited.
what's cool too is to see the different ties from players. So we were talking a little bit about how like Harrison Bader is playing for Team Israel because of his lineage. And then Lars Nootbaar, who is a right fielder for the Cardinals, is the first American-born player to play for Team Japan. And of course, you got like Shohei Ohtani for Japan, but there's some players, that you don't necessarily realize have ties and backgrounds from specific places. So
Yeah, that reminds me. I saw that Aroldis Chapman, even though he's from Cuba, was going to be playing for like England.
oh,
Really?
Yeah, it was some tie about, I don't remember what the tie was, but you're right. Like some players who aren't from, they just have some random tie, and so they're playing for somebody else. I'm surprised he wouldn't play for Cuba, but
yeah, it seems like the rules of who can play for each team is kind of determined by the team themselves, from what I've heard, it seems. So there's not like a ton of specific delineation of like, you have to meet these requirements to play for this team. It's kind of at the discretion of the team.
right.
But yeah, I think it's interesting from like a business perspective too. Obviously, it's still somewhat like considered exhibition baseball for Major League Baseball players. So we've seen in the last couple weeks, the teams have pulled some players, like just the last couple days. Nestor Cortez, obviously, he has a specific injury with the Yankees, so that he is not going to be playing in the World Baseball Classic. But the team and their regular season is always going to take priority. So going to make sure he is hopefully rested and can get well by opening day. The Twins pulled Carlos Correa because his wife they're expecting their second child. There's just a lot going on right around the same time as, a big spring training for him. And the team kind of always has a hand in that, which I just think is interesting from the like baseball exec side. One of the people that I love to listen to is a former president of the Miami Marlins. His name is David Sampson. He does a podcast, but he has talked about like in the All-Star game, how it's very much decided upon like before the game even starts, like how many pitches somebody's going to throw or how many at bats someone's going to have. And while I think that's kind of hard to think about from a fan perspective, because you like to think, you're watching like a game that would be played like any other, it totally makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I think it's interesting and fun to have that like kind of behind the curtain perspective of that's exactly what's going to happen in the World Baseball Classic too. Like the team has to support the player going to play. And, they might have some specific regulations around how much they want them to play or if they're even going to start or what. So that's just something to keep in mind. Like when you're watching games like that don't get mad that Paul Goldschmidt didn't get to hit again. It wasn't really up to the manager. It might have been, had something to do with something we know nothing about. And it's also interesting to see what it means for the non-roster invitees and all of the players who aren't playing in the World Baseball Classic that are going to get a lot of extra playing time in those spring training games when their teams are gone. Is there anyone for the Yankees that you guys are specifically excited about, like prospect-wise, that might get a little extra playing time?
Yeah, we have Austin Wells, Anthony Volpe, Anthony Siegler, and who was the fourth one? I think Jason Dominguez.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. So those guys are rated very high on MLB Pipeline's list of prospects. So we're really excited to see how they will do in spring training, and basically we'll be watching the battle for shortstop, for left field. So lots of things to keep an eye on.
Oh, cool. So there's actually like some pretty legitimate question marks in terms of who could claim those spots right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
That's very exciting then.
There are a lot of huge questions on third base and left field. Even shortstop.
Yeah. I guess we'll see. Also, Oswald Peraza is another one. I mean, he did play uh a little bit last season at the end, so it'll just be interesting to see who's going to be taking over shortstop and if one of these younger guys is going to get called up.
Yep.
Yeah, you've got to think it definitely just changes the dynamic up a bit when those things are in question and have to be paid more attention to, but then also when you don't have to worry about certain guys getting playing time because they're off at the World Baseball Classic or whatever. And so other people can be more in the spotlight. So maybe we'll have to do a little follow-up on that in weeks to come as the rosters start to get solidified. Exciting things are happening in baseball. It's finally time.
Yes.
Ew.
Yay.
Donna, tell the fans our big news.
So we have decided that, we just really need to get together and talk about baseball more often. So we will be bringing our podcast episodes to you bi-weekly now, or twice a month. I may have misspoke.
Twice a month.
Twice a month-ish.
Yeah.
And so we had thought we would do it once a month, but it's just not enough.
Too much baseball, too much fun, too much to chat about.
Too many updates.
Yes.
Madison, tell the good people where they can find us since they're obviously going to be following along.
You guys can all find us on Twitter at Babes Babes Pod and Instagram Babes Babes Podcast. So
You also want to make sure that you're following, on Apple Podcasts. Don't just listen to the episode. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Because like Jonna said, twice a month, bi-weekly, same thing, kind of. But like whenever one pops up, you're going to know if you're following us there on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. And you got to follow our YouTube channel because you can watch us too. Love it.
Don't forget to follow us individually as well. So you can follow me at 90s Yanks Kid. You can follow Kelsey at KBird, BURD tweets, KBird tweets. And you can follow Madison at Major League Mad, MADD.
We'll catch you next time, baseball fans.